Hi everyone, and welcome to, oh shoot, what episode is this? Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 164 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit, and where I get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. It is Saturday, June the 3rd, 2023. How are we already in June? Oh, yeah. Anyway, it's a nice day here. It's getting a little overcast now. I'm kind of hoping for a bit of rain because we desperately need rain around here. And it's hot. It was 93 degrees yesterday. Ugh. And today it's 83 or 84, I think was the last time I checked. Too hot for me. Do not like that much heat. But anyway, not much I can do about that. So I'll just complain. Which doesn't help. Just sipping some cold water. And so this week I have 3 finished objects. I guess we can call them 3. I have progress on 2 of my whips that I showed you last week. And I have a new cast on. Only 1 new cast on. I kind of thought I'd have 2 new cast ons to show you today. Oh my gosh. English is my only language, people. Oh boy. Anyway, I suspected I might have 2 new whips to show you today, but I only have 1. I'm going to hold off a little bit on one of the works or one of the projects I wanted to start this past week. I'm gonna probably get going on that sometime in the next week or so, but we shall see. So without further ado, 3 finished objects. So I kind of call them sort of finished objects. I finished 3 more dishcloths. So this one, I was finishing off the yellow and white variegated and just finished it off with a blue. So this is a no-hole diagonal dishcloth. I love these. I really like the way they work up. Getting closer to July, so we're heading towards our patriotic yarn. So there was 1 skein, or 1 small partial skein of this red, white, and blue yarn. So I got that one done. And since that was only a partial, I knit until I ran out of the red, white, and blue yarn, and then switched to just the plain blue and finished off that one. So 3 new dishcloths. I think what I'm going to do with keeping track of my dishcloths is I'm going to have just like a monthly tally. So in the month of May I made 5 dishcloths. I'm not sure if I'll make as many in June because I have a few other things that I'm working on as well, but we'll see. We shall see. I might end up doing more on them. I might not. So my next work in progress is living in my Moonstone Dye Works drawstring bag. And these are my June toe-up sort of shorty socks. So last week when you saw them, I had done the toes and had them done in time so that they were ready to show or ready to go as soon as I got the June yarn opened up on the 1st of June. And I love the color. It is so pretty. It's such a pretty blue. It's little bits of green parts to it and a few little splashes of this bright pink, almost like a fuchsia kind of pink. So I did a little bit, whoops, the bag almost fell off the chair. So I did a little bit on it on Thursday. Thursday was the 1st, right? Yeah, if today, if today's the 3rd, 2 days ago was the 1st. Oh boy. So I've got a little bit done. So as I said, last week I had the toes finished, and I've got, I think, about 12 or 14 rounds done working up the foot. So you can see I've got these little splotches of green and a couple little specks of the fuchsia here and there. It's really pretty. I really like the way this is knitting up. So I did a little bit on these on Thursday. I plan on, I think this will be the project I take with me to work on during Sunday school and part of the time tomorrow morning at church. So hopefully next week I'll have some more progress to show you on those. So I'm knitting them on 2 at a time on my, I guess it's a US 1 or 1.25 millimeter Chow needles. They're not interchangeable, they're just the fixed. And they're fairly long. I think they might even be the 47-inch cables on them. They've got quite a long cable on them, which is good for doing my two at a time. And I am absolutely in love with doing my socks, these particular type of socks, toe up 2 at a time. And again, the yarn comes from Orlando Fiber Arts. I bought a 12-day advent calendar this past Christmas. I bought it partway through December, and it includes 12 50-gram skeins of yarn. And the 50-gram skeins of yarn, doing them toe up this way, make a perfect size pair of socks for my feet. They come up just high enough on the leg that I like. So those are my June sort of shorty toe up socks, and hopefully I'll have some more progress to show you on those next week. My next work in progress is in this huge fat squirrel bag, and this is the Erin size. This is the largest one that she makes. And living in here is my Penguono. Now, I got a lot done on this since you saw me last. Let me just try to show you. So when you saw me last, I only had, I think the only thing I had done was the back piece. So since then, I've added all of the welts on both sides. And I have done the side, or the side part of the back, and then the little piece down the side itself on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, again, I finished the 3 welts. I've done, in a similar color, the back side portion, the side itself, in the same color as the other side. And I've started on the front portion. So the purple is the part that goes through, comes along from under the side of the arm and the side of the waist, and then you add stitches onto it to bring it up to the shoulder area. And I am loving this. I don't love working on it in 90-degree wet temperatures or 80-degree temperatures. I might have to wait and work on it more when where I am someplace that has air conditioning or has good air conditioning. So right now I put it aside for just a little bit, but I will be picking it up some more this week, and hopefully I'll have more to show you this upcoming week. So the yarn I'm using for that is just a whole bunch of my own hand-dyed yarns in sport weight, and I'm holding each of the yarns double with a strand of sport weight bare yarn. So that way it'll have some kind of cohesion. It's bright and it's a loud sweater. And it's kind of like a coat of many colors kind of thing, but it's bright and I love it. And the colors were things that I wasn't sure if I would use them on other projects where I only had one of each of the colors, like one of each of these skeins, and they were pretty much all done in a non-repeatable fashion. I thought this is probably the best way to use them up, is in something like the Penguono. So that's what I'm doing with that. And so I'm hoping to use up quite a bit of my sport weight stash. We'll see. If I don't use, I won't use it all, but I'll be able to get a good chunk of it used up, which is one of my goals, is to use up a lot of my stash, because I have a lot of yarn. And I still haven't sorted through it. Keep threatening to do so. Tubs are still sitting in the living room. Oops. Anyway, so I had plans to start 2 new cast-ons this past week, but it just got to the point where it just felt overwhelming for me. Working on Penguono, opening up my June toe-up yarn to add 2 more whips to the pile. So I had planned on casting on the Salty Air Tea on the 1st of June. That's when there is a knit along with Karen from the Recreational Knitting Podcast. I was going to cast on the 1st of June. She's running the cal until I want to think September. It's quite a ways down the line. So what I plan on doing is I plan on spending more time finishing Penguono, and then I will start the Salty Air Tea and get going on that. Or when I free up one of the other 2 pair of socks. This is a spoiler. The second whip that I did start, the new one I did start, is a pair of socks. So Salty Air Tea, I will start that in the next week or 2. I'm just not able to keep up with all of them as much as I want to. And the other one that I was planning on casting on, also on the 1st of June, was the first pair of socks in the qualifying round for the Super Sock World Championship. And the pattern came out late in the day on June 1st, after I'd gone to bed actually. So I got started on knitting those on Friday. And I've knit a little bit on them today as well. They are a little bit slow going for me, but that's fine. I'm enjoying the knit, and I have a full 2 weeks to finish them. So I have a gut feeling that these new socks are the ones that are going to be occupying most of my free knitting time. So instead of just talking about them, why don't I show it to you? So there are 2 types of socks patterns for the qualifying round and each of the subsequent laps. There is what they call a high octane pattern and a low octane pattern. The low octane pattern is a little bit less complicated, potentially a little bit easier, although not necessarily that much difference between them. And the high octane is a little bit more complex. And you can choose between one or the other if you're participating. So the qualifying round pair of socks, I chose the low octane pattern. And these are Zinja, and it's by Bridget Freyer. And they are adorable. I was thinking of doing them 2 at a time, and then I thought better of that, because if I'm doing 2 strands of yarn or 4 strands of yarn, it's just going to get too complicated and too much potential that I'm just going to end up in a tangled mess, and I didn't want to deal with that. So I am going to do the first one, and then I will switch, and I will start and I will do the second one once the first one is complete. So I am using for this Valley Yarns Huntington from Webb's. The purple, the one color is red purple, and the second color is mustard. I hope those focused for you. Hopefully. I'm also using 2.25 millimeter needles, or US size 1, and I have the cuff is done, and I am partway through working my way down the leg. So it has this mosaic type color work cable design, cable stripey design. The cables only go down the leg portion, and then once you, so it kind of does it comes down, then it does like this little cross and does that twice, and then comes down to a point. So that is only on the leg portion. Then when you get down to the heel and going down the foot, it's just in simple stripes. Solid color heel and solid colored toes. I haven't decided which way I'm doing it. I'm almost leaning towards doing them fraternal and doing this one with the yellow as the cable, and the second time I might use the purple as the cable. I haven't decided. I'm not sure if the dark works as well popping off the light color. I'm gonna have to look through the different project pages on Ravelry and see if there are people who've done it in the like the dark as the cable and the lighter color in the background. I'll see. And then I'll decide whether I want to do the heel in purple and the toe in purple on this one, and then switch the other way on the other one and do purple cables on the yellow background, and then do yellow heels and toes, or toe because it's only been one sock. Or if I get to the end and find that I've used about half of each skein of yarn, I might just do the second one matching. I don't know. Maybe I'll do both heels purple and the toes yellow. I don't know. Come back next week and see what I've decided. Because right now I'm not sure. I haven't even decided which way I'm going to do the heel and the toe. And I'm a little ways away from thinking about or worrying about doing that first heel. So that'll probably be a day or a couple days away yet before I even have to really think about that too hard. And other than that, that is all there is for my, well, that's all there is. There's a significant amount of knitting that I did show you. But that's what I've been up to the past week. Finished off 3 dishcloths. Had a lot of work done on Penguono. I might try to work on that a little bit in front of the computer while I'm watching some podcasts later, because when I'm there I can sit the whole big pile of fabric on the table and knit that way, versus when I am working on it while we're watching TV and I've got this big lump of fabric that's double thickness and squishy and warm. I don't really want that sitting on my lap or against my body while I'm knitting. Not in the temperatures like we have right now. So that might just be a computer knitting project for now. We shall see. But basically what I have left to do on it is I have to finish on the front. So then I have one section that's going to be straight, and then it's going to start tapering down. And then I have the other full side, so I have to do the second side. And then you do 2 little pieces on the shoulder to join the front piece and the in my case the bright green in the back. And then you do the sleeves. Once you have the sleeves done, then you come back and there's kind of like a shawl collar on it, and then an I-cord border all the way around. So there's still quite a bit left to do, but it is knitting up quite quickly. I'm using 6.5 millimeter needles. I have no idea what size that is. Is that a 10? Let me look. US 10.5 or 6.5 millimeter. So they're big needles, especially compared to sock knitting. They're large needles. Almost feel like when I'm picking them up, I'm picking up baseball bats to knit with. But it does, because it's large needles and two strands of sport weight held together, it's a bulky knit size on the large needles. So it's knitting up quite quickly, as you can see with the amount of knitting that I did in the past week. So, and that's over and above finishing the dishcloths and getting some work done on these 2 pair of socks. So I'm happy with that progress. And other than that, it's been pretty quiet around here. We haven't been doing much of anything. I'm getting some administrative stuff, school administrative type of things done, and working on some research stuff as well, and taking some knitting breaks. And I've planned my time to go out to Manitoba to visit family this summer. I'll be going for just over 2 weeks in the early part of July. So I'm really excited about being able to go home and visit with my mom, my sister, my niece, and all the rest of the extended family. Really excited for that. So I'm glad that's booked. I'm planning on taking a fair amount of sock knitting material with me, because I will have a lot of time to knit on airplanes. My connections are kind of wonky. I end up with, I'm on 1, 2, 3 different planes, so I've got time to waste in several airports each direction and knitting while we're flying. So I am planning on caking up I will definitely take my July sort of shorty socks. And other than that, I'm going to cake up a couple skeins of some of the 50-gram skeins I have other than my 12-day Advent, and cake up 2 or 3 more of those. Last year I took enough yarn to knit 2 pair of socks, and I completely finished those and had to get my sister to take me out shopping so I could get more yarn. Because I still had a day at her place and all of my time to flying back down to Pennsylvania. So I'll take enough for 3 socks this year, and that should keep me busy and out of trouble. Keep my hands busy. So that's the plan. I just have to decide what other 2 yarns I will take aside from my July sort of shorty socks. Because the July ones will be ready to cast on and will be started before I leave. So that'll work out perfectly. But there's lots of time while a lot of my time will be spent just sitting and visiting with my mom. And that allows for lots of knitting time. She's frequently working on cross stitch while I'm working on knitting. It works out very well. So those are my exciting plans for later this summer. And other than that, I think that's about it. It's probably about time to stop talking, get the editing done on this, and get it posted and get back to knitting on my Zinja socks. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna work on Penguono today. It's too hot in here. Complain. But you won't hear me complaining about the cold in the winter. I do complain about the heat in the summer. I'm not built for heat at all. Anyway, before I start going even farther downhill here, I should let you go, and I will see you guys again in a week. Take care, everyone. Bye.